Good evening, good morning. Welcome to week 6 of PSSL 6251, Interagency Cooperation here at George Washington University. I just want to start off with a couple of announcements. First, Adobe Connect session. We'll be doing that week 7. The date is August 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what I want to talk about is, as I mentioned earlier, career issues. Any job issues, working with the federal government, working in the intelligence community, working even at the local level. And if any of you have insights to bring, that would be excellent as well. It is a voluntary Adobe Connect session. It is not required. So if you can't make it, that's fine. But I think if it's, I think it'd be very helpful career-wise to kind of get advice, and we can kind of circulate ideas in that session. So again, August 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Simulation for week 8. I've assigned the teams, so if there's any issues, please let me know. But those are the teams assigned. And starting on day 1 of week 8, which is that Monday, I'll be handing out your assignments, more detail, and start with some injects and vignettes for you guys to work on over the week. And then the papers. Paper 3 is due today. This is Sunday today, but paper 3 is due today. Paper 2, I haven't gotten everyone's paper 2. So if you haven't gotten it to me, get it to me and upload it in the Learn system like now, ASAP. Those are over a week old, so there's really no excuse for that being an issue at this point. And yeah, paper 3 on black money is due today. I didn't get any emails regarding that or regarding any issues with that. So if you haven't gotten it to me, or if you haven't gotten to me by Monday, you're a little late on that. So with that being said, the past week, really good discussion. I think we definitely hit the, or at least I might have, uncovered some sensitive points regarding the private warriors, the use of contractors on the battlefield. I know Joshua had previous experience with this, and I think I steered the discussion wrong, and I apologize. There's a lot of talk on contractors being yahoos, being lack of discipline on the battlefield. The video brought it up, and I think I steered that discussion in the wrong direction. I didn't want to talk about individual conduct or anything like that. What I wanted to talk about was more the 3 questions. 1, are they more effective? Is it more effective to have contractors on the battlefield than it is military? Some argue yes, some argue no, and I wanted to kind of bring that up. Second issue is it transparent to have contractors on the battlefield? Is it too off the books, away from the sight of mind of the American people when we're employing forces? It's very easy. It's a lot harder to send U.S. uniformed troops to a place than it is to send contractors. Back before 9/11, we sent contractors all the time to Colombia to fight the drug wars. They're involved in intelligence and not necessarily the direct action, but it was involved with intelligence, and it was involved with other aspects, and it gave the Clinton administration the advantage of plausible deniability. And a couple of those contractors ended up getting captured, and we could say, not our problem, not the not U.S. soldiers, don't need to worry about it. So does the use of contractors prevent appropriate transparency? And the final piece is it legal? There are rules of war, rules of engagement against using contractors. If you want to use the term mercenary, if you want to use the term adjuncts, I don't know what term you want to use, but there are rules of warfare against the use of private contractors, private companies in a normal battlefield. I think we might have come close to skirting those rules in Iraq and Afghanistan. So those are the 3 things I kind of wanted to focus on, not individual conduct or anything. And then actually, the one more thing I wanted to talk about was incentives for contractors. I don't think we got the discussion, and the incentives might be a little bit different for a contractor, and that's shown in the movie as it is uniformed military. So those are kind of the takeaways from last week. I think we got, again, a little bit passionate. The one last thing I'd leave you with, and this goes back to the transparency issue, would we, let's say we want to fight Putin in Ukraine there, fight his insurgents. The Ukrainian government came up and said, I want to hire private military contractors from the United States to impact the Putin, or to impact those Russian separatists in Ukraine. Would that be legal? Would that be good? Would that be transparent? How would that impact our foreign policy and our foreign relations? If the government of Ukraine went to Blackwater or Blackwater-like corporation and said, hey, I want to hire 2,000 commandos and 1,000 intelligence personnel and hundreds of logisticians, and I want to use that to clean up the Russian mess that's on our border. Should we do that? Should we approve that? Food for thought. So that wraps up week 5. On to week 6, another favorite topic of mine, the politicization or the militarization of our police forces. That's the basic topic. Are our police forces getting too militarized, and what is the appropriate role of the military in homeland security, domestic security operations? Some of you may not remember this. There's posse comitatus, which is supposed to prevent the military from operating on U.S. soil. We're a nation of laws, but that law tends to get waived in an emergency. During the LA riots, most of you probably can't remember that, but in 1992, we brought in the military to act as police in Los Angeles to curb the riots. In Hurricane Katrina in 2005, hopefully most of you remember that, we brought in actual active duty brigades from the 82nd Airborne into New Orleans to prevent looting, assist with the humanitarian issue that was going on after Katrina. So the military has had a role in domestic security. And the two events I want to kind of focus on, one are Katrina, which I'll talk about in a second. And the second relates more to the militarization of our police, is the aftermath of the Boston Marathon attack. With Katrina, the advantages of using the military were clear. And I think not too many people would disagree that it was probably a wise choice to use the military. They bring a lot more logistics capability. They bring a lot more lift capability. They bring a lot more bodies. If you need 8,000 people to go into Katrina tomorrow, you can activate the military and have that within a few days. That advantage in a disaster relief is hard to beat. Maybe some police can do that, maybe some National Guard can do that, but the ability to just get bodies to surge into an area, even if they're not doing security work, is an advantage that any governor, any local municipality would love to have. So that was the advantage Katrina brought. And then the superior logistics, airlift assets, helicopters, especially when in Katrina where you couldn't move around very easily. Those are key advantages. There's no real disadvantages for Katrina for bringing the military. The PowerPoints that I gave out just talk about sometimes it might have a lowering morale on the military. It might have degrade their combat effectiveness, prevent them from doing their wartime tasks. But I don't think too many people would disagree that the military had a adverse effect on Katrina itself. The second point, again, I mentioned Boston, and everyone should remember this, and I'll kind of weigh some opinion here. I think we went a little bit too far in our response to the Boston attacks. We shut down the city. We got into firefights, and you can YouTube these videos. They're out there. We got into firefights on the streets of the suburbs of Boston that made Boston look like Baghdad. We injured people in friendly fire, and we were running around with trucks and tanks, and we made Boston look like a war zone, which if you took my terrorism class, those of you who took it, that is the purpose of terrorism. The purpose is to create that level of fear and to create those reactions. We brought more attention and more reactive to these two knucklehead brothers than they could have done any other way. So that in of itself incentivizes terrorism. So it's just, again, thing to think about. Did we go too far in the Boston marathon response? And then finally, the final point brought up in the Mew article is the use of the military for police training overseas. It wasn't too long ago, pre-Iraq, that was considered illegal for the United States to train police overseas. Obviously, with the global war on terror and advise and assist missions in Afghanistan and Iraq, that another law that we had just kind of gets waved away in the event of an emergency. But that was on the books, and you can discuss that in your discussion boards as well. So if there's any issues or problems, please let me know. I look forward to your discussion points, and I look forward to seeing you all on the Adobe Connect session next week.